Hey guys, it's Miss Hartley at Easley Elementary again, back with your First Chapter Fridays. Today we have Amina's Voice, which is written by Hena Khan. It is about a young Muslim girl that has an amazing talent for singing, but she's too shy to show it. So will she learn how to use her voice not only for singing, but also to stand up for what she believes in? Let's read the first chapter and see if we can get a taste. Something sharp pokes me in the rib. You should totally sign up for a solo, Sujin whispers from her seat behind me in music class. I shake my head. The mere thought of singing in front of a crowd makes my stomach turn into knots. But you're such a good singer, Sujin insists. I pause, enjoying the praise for a second. Sujin is the only one at school who knows that I can sing, and she thinks I'm amazing at it. Every Tuesday, we argue about the best contestant on The Voice and who deserves to advance to the next round. I can count on Sujin ending the conversation by saying that I am better than most of the people on the show and that I deserve to be on it someday. But what she doesn't consider is that if by some miracle I was standing in front of the judges and a live studio audience, I wouldn't be able to croak out a word. So I just shake my head again. Come on, Amina, just try it. Sujin is getting a little louder now. Girls, is that chatter about you volunteering? Mrs. Holly stares at us from the front of the classroom with her eyebrows raised. Ouch! I yelp. It's Sujin's pencil in my side again. Oh, is that a yes, Amina? Should I sign you up for a solo for the concert? Mrs. Holly asks. Oh, how about one of those Motown pieces from the 1970s? I sink lower in my chair as everyone stares at me and as I stumble over my words. No, thank you. I'll just stay in the chorus. I manage to mutter. Okay, Mrs. Holly shrugs, with a frown clouding her face until Julie Zawacki, waving her hand like an overenthusiastic first grader, distracts her. Julie always wants the spotlight, and she tends to sing extremely loudly. It's almost as if she thinks that volume can make up for her lack of pitch. I always wonder how the math class next door gets any work done whenever Julie starts belting. But then again, I wish I had even half the guts that she does. Remember, we only have 2 months to prepare for the winter choral concert. This is a big deal, guys, Mrs. Holly calls out as the bell rings and we file out for lunch. I can't believe you didn't sign up, Sujin complains as we sit down at what has already become our usual spot in the lunchroom 3 weeks into the school year. This is your big chance to show everybody what you've been hiding. I'm pretty sure that's what Adam, the judge with the sleeve tattoos, said to the tall, red-headed girl on The Voice last night, and so I tell her that. I'm serious, Sujin says. It's time to forget about John Hancock. Just the mention of that name brings back some memories that I've tried to block since 2nd grade. Our class play about the American independence. I was John Hancock, and I was supposed to say one line. I will proudly sign my name in big letters. But when it came time for their performance, I looked out onto the audience. I saw a sea of faces, and I froze. There was this endless moment where the world just grew still and waited for me to speak. I couldn't open my mouth. My teacher, Mr. Silver, finally jumped in and said my line for me with a joke about how John Hancock had lost his voice and he was going to sign his name extra big to make up for it. The audience laughed, and the show went on while I burned with humiliation. I can still hear Luke and his friends jeering at me from the side of the stage. That was forever ago. We're in 6th grade now. You need to get over it. Sujin sighs, as if my whole middle school future depends on performing a solo in Mrs. Holly's Blast from the Past celebration. I don't let her see how much I agree with her and how badly I actually want the spot. Anyway, do you think I look like a Heidi? She continues. I have a mouthful of sandwich and I stare at her as I chew, realizing that she's changed the subject. I try to imagine her with a name that I associate with Swiss cartoon characters or a famous supermodel, not my 12-year-old best Korean friend. Not really, I finally say after swallowing. Why? What about Jessica? Do I look like a Jessica? So Jin picks out a carrot from her overstuffed sandwich wrapped in white deli paper. No? What are you talking about? Oh, I got it. Sujin sits back and she crosses her arms. She's hardly reassembled her sandwich and it's already halfway done. Nobody I know can eat as fast as Sujin. It's one of the many ways that we are opposites. I can never finish my lunch, no matter how hard I try. What? Melanie! I totally feel like a Melanie. I love that name. Sujin flips her long black hair off of her shoulder and she acts like she's meeting me for the first time. Hi, I'm Melanie. What's wrong with you? Are you feeling okay? Sujin pretends to pout. Just tell me, who do you think I look like? Sujin, I say slowly. I put the other half of my sandwich in my bag and I pull the mini pretzels out. You look exactly like a Sujin. Sujin sighs again extra loudly, just like she does when her younger sister pesters us to play with her. It seems like that I'm getting that sigh more and more lately, ever since we've started middle school. That's because you've always known me as Sujin, Amina. Yeah, that's my point. What is your point? I hear a familiar voice behind me, and I turn around. A small blonde girl is carrying a cafeteria tray and a jumbo metal water bottle with the words, "I am not plastic" on it. Emily. Her green eyes and her tiny nose remind me of my next-door neighbor's bad-tempered cat, Smokey. Nothing, I say. I wait for her to keep walking to the other side of the lunchroom where she always sits with Julie and her crew. What are you guys talking about? She asks. I wait for Sujin to answer, expecting her to say something that will send Emily scurrying away. Even though that cat gets my tongue when either Julie or Emily come prowling, Sujin never has any problem telling them exactly what she thinks. But Sujin just says, "Oh, I'm thinking of new names for myself." New names? That's weird. Why? Emily starts a stream of questions. As much as I want Emily to leave, I also want to hear the answers. It's not weird at all, actually. My family and I are becoming citizens soon, and I want to change my name. Wait, so that means you're not even American? Emily asks and sounds offended. What? I ask. There's no way I heard Sujin right. Change your name? What for? Sujin smooths her hair, she sips some fizzy juice, and she takes a deep breath. Well, we moved here from Korea when I was 4, and we weren't American citizens yet. But we are about to be, and I'm going to change my name, and I just haven't picked one yet. Oh, I have a perfect name for you, Emily volunteers. She plops down her tray on the table, and she smiles like she's about to spill a juicy secret. Fiona. Fiona? I snort, as in the green ogre girl from the Shrek movies? No, as in Fiona, my uncle's Scottish girlfriend. She's totally pretty. I flash Sujin a look, but she doesn't even notice. Instead, she actually seems to be pondering the name as if it's a possibility. An ogre name suggested by Emily? And just then, Emily starts to shove herself into the space next to me. I don't move at first, but when she's practically in my lap and Sujin doesn't say anything, I scoot over to make room for her. Then I lean across the table and I stare hard at Sujin. Why is Emily sitting with us? Ever since before Sujin moved from Greendale to New York in 3rd grade, Emily has worked extremely hard to be Julie's best friend. Mama would say that Emily was Julie's chinchinchi, which means spoon in Urdu. That doesn't make a lot of sense, except that it also means suck up. And Emily has always sucked up to Julie, even if that means laughing really hard at her dumb jokes or chiming in when she puts everyone down. And by everyone else, I mean mostly Sujin and me. Fiona, Sujin repeats. That's kind of nice. Do you like it? Emily asks me. I don't know. Do you seriously think she looks like a Fiona? Duh. She can look like anyone that she wants, can't she? Emily turns back to Sujin, and my face grows hot. Don't you like being Sujin? I asked my best friend in a low voice, leaning across the table to make it harder for Emily to hear. You've been Sujin your whole life. Aren't you used to it? And I wanted to add that we've always ever been the only kids in elementary school with names that everyone stumbled over. That is, until Okliana came in 5th grade. It's just been one of our things. Really, Amina? I thought you at least would understand what it means to have people mess up your name every single day. Sujin lets out her sigh again, and this time it feels like I deserve it, even though I don't know why. Mama told me once that she picked my name thinking that it would be the easiest ones on her list for all the people in America to pronounce. But she's wrong. The neighbor with the creepy cat still calls me Amelia, even after I've lived next door to her for 5 years. And my last name, forget about it. I can barely pronounce Kokler myself until I was at least 8. And I don't want to embarrass anyone by correcting them more than once, so I just let them say my name however they want to. Sujin is the only one at school who gets it. Whenever a substitute teacher pauses during roll and asks, and how do you say your name, dear? I don't even have to look up at her to know that she's rolling her eyes. We still collapse into giggling fits if one of us mentions the lady who called me anemia, as in the blood disorder. But now all of a sudden, Sujin wants to be a Fiona or a Heidi? Does this have something to do with her being in middle school? So what other names do you like? Emily asks. She's so interested in the conversation that she hasn't even touched the limp grilled cheese on her sandwich on her tray yet. I lean back and I chew my pretzels while Sujin repeats her other choices to Emily. Ooh, I like Melanie too, Emily says. As I watch them chat, the lunchroom starts to feel like somebody has cranked up the heat. My palms get sweaty. I feel super thirsty, and it's not just from the pretzels. I look around and I find Julie sitting at her usual table, talking with a couple of new girls from another elementary school. She doesn't seem to notice that Emily is missing. I don't say another word until Emily gets up to put her tray away and goes to the bathroom before the bell rings. Sujin is a pretty name too, I say in a normal voice as much as I can. And I'm not just saying that because I'm used to it. I want to add that I can't imagine calling Sujin any of those other names, and it would feel like I was talking to an imposter, but I don't. It seems like Sujin does not want to hear that. Thanks, Sujin's face softens. You know, a lot of people that are Korean have 2 names, a Korean one and an English one. Yeah, but you didn't have another name before, so why do you want one now? I've always wished I've had a different name. Besides, my whole family is picking new ones. Sujin's dad already goes by George, and her mom is Mary, so their names would just become official after they take the oath to become citizens. I call them Mr. and Mrs. Park anyway, since my parents would never let me call a grown-up by their first names. Everyone is auntie or uncle or Mr. or Mrs. But Sujin taking on a new name just doesn't seem right. Can I still call you Sujin? I asked after swallowing hard to clear the lump that has formed in my throat. Well, I want everyone to use my new name and get used to it in middle school, so it's normal by the time we get to high school. It would be messed up if my own best friend didn't do it. Sujin peers into my face expectantly. You will, right? Yeah, I will. Although I cross the toes inside of my shoes. I decide that I will call her Sujin for as long as possible. The knots tighten in my stomach again, churning the half sandwich, 7 mini pretzels, and the 3 bites of cookie that are sitting inside. I watch Sujin put her empty container back in her lunch bag, looking for a clue as to why she's acting so bizarre. Before I can even explain why, something about Sujin wanting to drop her name makes me worry that I might be next. That's it. Would you like to read more to find out? Come to the library and look for Amina's Voice.